Welcome to episode 28 of the MetaMagix Monster Manual and another continuation of the Demon Souls chapter. This episode is going to be covering another beginner monster seen towards the beginning of the game that you can use at the beginning of your campaign, the Phalanx. For this episode, we actually have two stat blocks to cover, one for the Phalanx itself and two for its minion type, the Hoplite. Before we get started, only a small percentage of you guys who watch my videos are actually subscribed, so if you're enjoying this type of content and want to see more, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. Without any further delay, let's get right into it. So this is the Phalanx, and to begin, the Phalanx is classified as a huge fiend with the chaotic evil tag. It has an armor class of only 8, which is its natural armor. It has a hit point total of 100 hit points and has a movement speed of 10 feet. The stat array is very lackluster with only a 4 strength, 6 dex, 10 constitution, 5 intelligence, 9 wisdom, and 10 charisma. It has a damage vulnerability to fire. It cannot be blinded, charmed, deafened, restrained, or stunned, and has a passive perception of 9, speaks 0 languages, and has a challenge rating of only 3. But where the Phalanx shines is in its abilities. First off, the Phalanx has the Bulwark ability. The Phalanx gains a +1 bonus to AC for each Hoplite attached to it. A maximum of 9 Hoplites can be attached to the Phalanx. Each time the Phalanx takes damage, a Hoplite becomes detached from it, and it appears in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of it. So basically, the Phalanx can have a maximum of a 17 AC, which gives you some room to work with how you might want to start the encounter. You could have the Phalanx start with a 17 AC with 9 Hoplites attached to it, as it would cover a 9x9 square. Or, depending on your party's composition or power level, you could adjust it and only have a few Hoplites attached to the Phalanx, or maybe even no Hoplites attached to it, and just have them be around the area. It's entirely up to you. Very flexible in that regard. Next up, it has regeneration. The Phalanx regains 5 hit points at the start of each of its turns if it has at least 1 hit point, as it does in the game. And it doesn't have any attack actions whatsoever. The only action that the Phalanx can do is spawn Hoplite. The Phalanx creates a Hoplite that becomes attached to it. Of course, at any unoccupied space on the Phalanx, it will become attached to it. So the Phalanx is basically just a movable spawner that cannot attack. So what exactly does it spawn? Well, now we can take a look at the Hoplite stat block. So stat-wise, the Hoplite is almost exactly the same as the Phalanx with a couple changes. Most notably, the hit point difference. The Hoplite has only 15 hit points compared to the 100 of the Phalanx. It also has a 10 strength versus the Phalanx's 4 strength because the Hoplite actually has attacks to make. For the abilities, the Hoplite has the shielded function. The Hoplite's front side is treated as 3/4 cover, so attacking it from the front as the 3/4 cover property, as it has a giant shield protecting its front face. It also has the Spawn Spear ability. As a bonus action, the Hoplite can create a spear. Once thrown, the spear disappears at the end of the Hoplite's turn, so there's not just going to be a litter of spears all over the battlefield at the end. And for the actions, it has the spear action. Melee or ranged weapon attack, +2 to hit, reach 5 feet, or range 30 to 60 feet. One target deals 3 or 1d6 piercing damage. So the idea of the Hoplite is there's going to be a lot of them. These are the minion types of the Phalanx. You're going to see probably more than 10 at the same time. So you really don't want their attacks to be too likely to hit, hence the +2, or to deal too much damage, hence no bonus on top of the 1d6 a spear already normally does. And again, the amount of Hoplites you spawn into your encounter, completely up to you with how powerful you feel your party is. So what do you get for defeating such a large monster spawner enemy thing? Well, you get the Scraping Spear. The Scraping Spear is an uncommon weapon that requires attunement. A long spear with numerous barbs on the tip, forged from the soul of the Phalanx Demon. So quest reward, or you can just give it to them after they kill it. That's up to you. Deals 1d6 piercing damage. This weapon's damage is treated as magical damage when calculating resistances. A target hit by this weapon must succeed on a DC 10 Constitution saving throw or become wounded, suffering 1 damage at the start of each of its turns until it uses an action to mend the wound. So this weapon gives the bleeding mechanic, so any enemy that can bleed just applies this wound to it until they decide to mend the wound. It's not meant to deal too much damage, as this is an item you are going to be giving your party early because the monster is a beginner, so balanced accordingly. But anyway, guys, that is how I would run the Phalanx Demon, Hoplites, and the Scraping Spear in D&D 5e. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like. We have a lot more stat blocks from the Demon Souls chapter to come, so be sure to subscribe and not miss a single one of those, guys. But until next time, have fun, stay safe, and as always, happy gaming.